Hi, my name is Ian. My camera is balanced on top of a foam roller right now. Hopefully it stays. I think that there are a lot of people on YouTube talking about books, probably too many. So I guess I don't expect a bunch of people to watch this, but it's fun to talk about books. So I'm gonna do it. And I'm 23 and unemployed. My degrees are in public health, and I'm in the DMV area, so I'm kind of screwed in that regard. So I'm bored, and I'm going to talk about my favorite books here. Okay, I guess I just have to start talking about it. The first one is Slaughterhouse-Five by Vonnegut. I think a lot of these books, it's like I don't remember the plot that well. This one in particular I've read a couple times, but it's one of my favorite books because it got me into reading beyond reading for academics. Like Vonnegut had such a witty way of writing that I'd never seen before in the forced Shakespeare, Jonathan Swift high school stuff. Yeah, so then I ended up getting, it might be out of the frame, I have like a ton of Vonnegut books. But anyways, I really like this one. This one I read recently on a trip, Moby Dick. Obviously this one is like one of the classics, and I was surprised to see on Goodreads that it has a really low Goodreads rating, which my rule of thumb has been like if it's under 3.5, then I won't read it. I think Moby Dick might have been like 3.6 or something. I could be wrong, but if I was like gonna be stranded on a desert island and had to could only bring one book, as if that was my biggest worry, it would probably be Moby Dick, because it's so layered and it's so epic and biblical in its proportions. I remember a few times he really went on about whales. There might have been like 20 pages where he's talking about the etymology of different whales, but beyond that, it's a great story. I've only read it once and I probably have to reread it. 100 Years of Solitude. This one really stuck with me. I mean, I was pretty hesitant to read it, thinking that going through different generations of people would be kind of uninteresting, right? When you get used to a character, it moves to the next generation. And I learned maybe like 75 pages into it that you kind of just have to let the characters come and go and don't really focus too hard on learning who is who. And once I did that, this book, just like the magical realism and also how it illustrates, I don't know, generations of people, like how you were kind of cursed to become your parents and so on. I don't know, I really can't do any of the books justice, but I really like 100 Years of Solitude. It did kill the book club, but I like it anyways. And then Let the Great World Spin. My brother recently got me this copy that was actually signed by Colin McCann. I don't know if you can see it, which is super sick. But this was probably the first book I read where the writing is just like beyond beautiful. I don't know. It's like a flowery way of writing without being too descriptive. Maybe that doesn't make any sense. I don't know, I just love the writing, and I like the stories about martyrs. Yeah, so I recommend this one to people often. I think a lot of these favorite books are books that kind of open me up to other genres. I guess Kafka on the Shore is an example of that, by Murakami. I hadn't read magical realism, so I read this before I read 100 Years of Solitude. And this kind of opened my eyes to how expansive a world could be, or how different it could be from our own, while still following the rules of physics and whatnot. Like, it's believable in a way. I guess, whatever, magical realism is the best way to describe it, but yeah, Murakami has some issues, definitely some women issues, but I really like this book. I have somewhere. Oh. I have this cool set of, is it IQ84 or 1Q84? And I've tried to read the first book like 3 times, but Murakami is just so misogynistic and perverted that it's actually, I can't make it through it. But I really like Kafka on the Shore, at least what I remember. And I'm sorry I don't have a mic. Maybe I'll get a mic eventually. I have 2 non-fiction books, but I'll do the fiction books first. Nausea by Sartre. I guess it's like salt, but whatever, but I can't speak French. But this got me into philosophy. It presented me with ideas that I'd never thought about, and I was like, why am I trying to come up with these ideas if people have been thinking of them for thousands of years? But this book really messed me up. I spent like 2 weeks worrying that the world was gonna fall into itself. There's one scene where there's a rag flying down the street, like just bouncing down the street, and it turns into a piece of meat that's like gushing blood, and it goes down in the sewer. And I don't think I'll ever forget that, but I guess just the idea of why is anything the way it is, and does it really need to be that way, or is it almost just habitual? So yeah, spooky book that stuck with me. Okay, I gave away my copy of Lonesome Dove, so this is Leaving Cheyenne, but the actual book that I'm talking about is Lonesome Dove, the like 900-page Western book. But I just loved that book. The world building was so good, and it got me so into cowboys that I still listen to like old country music. And I got my cousin to read it, and now he does the same thing. We made a playlist called Country, like call in the book, and we add old-timey Western music to it. But Lonesome Dove is great. I'll definitely reread it, even though it was like 900 pages. Okay, and then I have 2 non-fiction books. I'm really into sea stories, and this is probably the craziest one I've read. Endurance, about Ernest Shackleton. He brought like whatever, they got stuck in I can't remember what it's called, an ice crush or whatever in Antarctica, where miles and miles of ice will condense in one spot, and it condensed on their ship, and their ship broke up, and I think they were stranded for like months, or maybe 1 month, I don't know, 10 months, and none of them died. The Shackleton was able to like actually lead his men out of the most treacherous conditions. And Antarctica is just so inhospitable. It's amazing that nobody died. So it was such a good adventure story. Okay, last book, nonfiction, Parenti. I think that's like Da Vinci sticking out the top. I don't think I can get it to focus. Yeah, I think I was into politics always. This might have been the first serious political book I read, Against Empire, a brilliant expose of the brutal realities of U.S. global domination. This might be too radical for some people, but it was really interesting reading about globalism and how horrific America has been in in their imperialism. I really like Parenti. I just read The Assassination of Julius Caesar. That one was gas too. But yeah, those are my favorite books. Maybe I missed some. If you watched this far, I guess consider subscribing. I don't know if I want people to watch these videos, but then at least I would know that somebody does care to see more videos. But I'll probably just post them anyways regardless. Yeah, that's all. Peace.